Good afternoon, and welcome to the weekly weather briefing for the week starting December 4th, 2025. I'm meteorologist Lindsay Marlowe, and I'm going to be walking you through the forecast over the next 7 days for portions of north and central Georgia. Starting off first with a look at our key messages and general hazard outlook over the next 7 days. Starting first, we do have the beginning of a multi-day rain event kicking off today. Currently, we're expecting about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall and potentially locally higher amounts up to 3 to 3.5 inches, generally for areas along and south of the I-20 I-85 connector through Monday. For areas to the north, we're expecting to see about an inch to an inch and a half of rain over the next 5 days. Some isolated rumbles of thunder are possible, but generally we're just expecting beneficial drought easing showers to continue. On top of that, we are expecting our cooler than average temperatures for early December to continue, with primarily highs in the 50s to near 60. Taking a look at our kind of risk level over the next 7 days, we're expecting to be all green as far as weather hazards, with generally showers expected. And because we're not expecting any flooding, things should be able to remain well handled by our current soils, and this should generally provide positive impacts on our ongoing drought. Our current satellite and radar, you can see we are pretty socked in cloud-wise across much of the state in general today, and expecting that to continue with potentially some patchy inclusions and intrusions of sunlight as we remain fairly rainy. And we do have a shield of rain that has developed generally across the southern half of the forecast area. Expect that to continue to build in through the afternoon and evening, and it does look like tomorrow should be rainier across portions of North Georgia that may remain clear for the remainder of the day today. Taking a look at our pattern over the next 5 days, I did mention that we're expecting a multi-day rain event to have kicked off today, and we are expecting cool and rainy conditions to linger well into the weekend and then also into the start of the week next week. This is generally going to be forced by a lingering stationary front that you can see draped across the northern Gulf. In addition to that, we're also going to have a series of surface low pressure systems that'll be tracking eastward, and all of that is going to serve to have cool and moist air stream into the forecast area, and that's going to support the multi-day rain event that we are expecting. As far as amounts, over the next 7 days, I did mention that we'll have chances for showers lingering through Monday morning before we start to see things taper off. However, though this graphic is going to be depicting rainfall through day 7, we are expecting nearly all of this forecast rainfall to fall between now and Tuesday, which is day 5, and then we should see some clearing and drying after Tuesday. Like I mentioned before, we are expecting a bit of a gradient in rainfall just because higher amounts are expected in proximity to that low pressure system and that stalled front. So right now we are forecasting about a half of an inch to an inch and a half across North Georgia to the metro, and then about an inch and a half to 2.5 inches across portions of north central and central Georgia. Though it is important to remember that any wiggles in both the front or the positioning of the low could cause those higher amounts to creep a little bit further northward, and then also potentially increase in values to potentially as high as 3 to 3.5 inches. Generally, we are expecting this to be gradual enough that we're not expecting much in the way of responses from rivers and streams, and this should be well handled by our dry soils. Following our rainy weekend and then start to the week, we should begin to clear and dry through midweek next week as a result of building surface high pressure that should serve to efface any lingering rain chances. As a result, we should have fairly dry and pleasant conditions expected through Wednesday, and they should be a nice change after multiple days of kind of dry and or clear, cool and dreary weather. Following that, we will continue to trend cooler and drier. Here we have the 6 to 10 day temperature and precipitation outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center. And you'll notice on the left, temperatures will generally be leaning below normal 6 to 10 days from now. So following that rainy period, we will stay rather cool for December. And then additionally and notably, precipitation will also tend to lean below normal once we get this kind of multi-day stint out of our systems. So it is likely that any improvements that we may have to the drought as a result of rainfall over the next couple of days might be all we get for the next week or so. Taking a look at our temperature forecast, trends in general across the forecast area will show highs a little bit below average by a couple of degrees, and then lows in the morning will also be a few degrees above average for early December. We will expect a return to lows below freezing beginning Monday morning. We're no longer issuing frost freeze products because we did have a hard freeze a couple of weeks ago, but it will be important as we see those temperatures continue to drop below freezing to check on the 4Ps: people, pets, pipes, and plants. So make sure that you are kind of taking inventory of that as we move into the beginning of the week next week and start to trend cooler in those mornings. We do have a bit of a positive drought update this week. We've seen improvements in the extent of severe and extreme drought conditions across the metro. Notably, the area of extreme drought that was located across portions of Coweta and Fayette County has since improved and has now been replaced with some areas of severe drought. However, for areas to the south and east, we've had really no improvement in our drought, and we've actually seen the development of additional severe drought areas across east central Georgia. However, as I've been kind of chatting with you guys about over the past couple of slides, we are expecting several rounds of rainfall over the next couple of days. So we are anticipating that drought conditions will continue to show very gradual improvement over the next 7 days, and the next map released next Thursday should hopefully show some improvements in those severe drought areas across the southern half of the forecast area, especially because that is where we're expecting the heaviest rainfall to come. That is pretty much all I've got for the forecast this week. Again, to kind of wrap things up, we are expecting a multi-day rainy period, followed by some clearing as we move into midweek next week, and we're expecting all of these to generally be in the form of showers with no severe weather concerns at this time. If you've got any questions for us, feel free to reach out on any of the avenues shown on this slide. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll be here to support you weather-wise if you need anything. Thank you.